I can't listen to James O'Brien for more than 5 minutes. The guy literally boils my piss. He is your typical condescending, self-righteous, left-wing champagne socialist, if ever there was one. He is a hateful individual. The way he talks to his guests is disgusting. He spits nothing but venom towards people who voted for Brexit. He refuses to call us Brexiteers. He calls us Brexiters because Brexiteers sounds too much cavalier. His own words, by the way. So if you are a patriotic, proud Brit who voted for Brexit and has a bit of common sense and decency about you, then this guy, he's not for you, trust me. He calls Nigel Farage Nigel Farage. And there's literally a whole soundboard of sound bites which he uses. So he doesn't make very pleasant hearing. And I know LBC, the radio station he works for, is labelled as, well, it's sold to the public as entertainment conversation. And I did hear on John Gaunt's show a few years ago that he heard on the grapevine that James O'Brien doesn't believe half the shit he spews out, so he could be more right-wing than me. Who knows if he's playing a horrible lefty really well, and fair play to him. So this guy, James O'Brien, he has come out with some pretty controversial and condescending clangers over the years while he's been in LBC. And just to let you know about LBC, it is full, it is infested with left-wing bigotry. Let's look at some of these presenters. You've got Eddie Mair, afternoon till the evening on weekdays. I mean, my God, that guy's voice, he could send an insomniac to sleep just like that. And he is another lefty. Then you've got Sheila Fogarty, who in my view is a left-wing extremist, a presenter who has, quite often given out parental advice despite never having kids of her own. And she is a known Donald Trump hater and once tweeted that she wanted violence done upon people who refused to take the jab. And she quickly deleted that tweet once she got a nice pile-on which she deserved. And then there's Ian Dale. Now, Ian Dale presents himself as a conservative, but believe you me, he is quite the lefty, because he's a guy who, he's on board the refugees welcome bandwagon, and he is very much a defender of a certain culture which would have him chucked off a building simply because of his sexuality. So he is literally a turkey voting for Christmas. He can't wait for Christmas. And then there's Matt Fry. No, Matt Fry. I think he presents a show on Saturday morning, afternoon, and he is very much a disinformation peddling journalist. He also works for Channel 4, so that should tell you everything. I remember him saying a story on LBC radio while I was working, and back then I could stomach LBC, but he said he walked into a bakery in Germany straight after Brexit, and these two elderly German ladies were talking about how Brexit is going to be ruinous for Britain's economy, etc. Total twaddle, and yeah, bullshit. I'm calling him out on that one. There's also Natasha Devon, who, if you listen to her show, she quite literally supports every woke, left-wing, progressive bollocks going. And they even have David Lammy on the books, and, David Lammy is David Lammy. And last but not least, or as least as the rest of them, you got Nick Abbott. He's on at the midnight hour. Nobody really listens to him, and he is yet another hateful left-wing individual whose whole shtick, whose whole gimmick on his show is to slander and mock Donald Trump and his family, and that's it, really. And also, he's quite orange, if you look at him. He's got orange skin, and that's topped off with a hairstyle like your local neighbourhood Karen. So there we go, that's LBC for you. So back to James O'Brien. And he very much holds himself on a very high pedestal where he really does believe, it gives that impression that he believes he is holier than thou. And these lefties, they're like this. They really are like this. These socialists, they believe that people should be only worried about and talking about problems that affect them personally, or woke pet projects which they are, they have a vested interest in. And his latest clanger is, he said on his show that he thinks his job is harder than manual labour. Anyone else could not do this for 8 hours a day. Well, personally, I think listening to James O'Brien is harder than manual labour. I literally cannot listen to the guy more than 5 minutes. I mean, look at the guy when he's sat down. No real man can cross his legs like that. Where the fuck do his balls go? Does he have any at all? Here's your typical weedy, corduroy wearing, beardy, Guardian reading, disgusting, poor excuse of a man. He's a manlet. You know, he probably goes on about climate change, yet drives a huge fuck-off Land Rover, which is parked on his, his exclusive gated community property, probably. I mean, these people really are like that. I mean, I used to drive past a house in Amersham quite regularly, and it was a big, posh house. The people inside were clearly middle class, and they had these posters up on their window saying, "We support net zero." And they had a huge Range Rover Sport parked on their bricked driveway. So the hypocrisy by these people, it's fucking stunning. I mean, how'd you go out in the world? I think, I don't know how they do it. I really could not be a lefty, folks. I couldn't do it to myself. And he really believes it as well. He really believes that his job is harder than manual labour because, he retorted afterwards, "I do actually believe it. I'm not just doing it for fun or provocations." The guy sits there in a air-conditioned studio for about 3-4 hours a day, and he talks to people, and that's it. I mean, okay, he might do a little research, but, it's likely that other people do the research for him. But to put this into context, right, James O'Brien, having done my research, is on £365,000 a year for his exhausting shift. And a bricklayer is on a £17,000 starting salary up to £45,000. But the difference between a bricklayer and James O'Brien is that bricklayers also do useful things. So if you haven't heard of James O'Brien, you've definitely heard of him now. Don't go listen to him. If you're on my side of the political spectrum, all right, he won't do you any good. He'll make you angry because the guy really is a fucking left-wing snob. And he is so fucking full of himself. It's unreal. He really is. And so I hope James O'Brien uses this weekend to recover because he's got to do it all again next week. What a hero. Anyway, that's my video. Hope you like. Let me know what you think in the comments. And thank God there's a thunderstorm on the way from Monday. I mean, we could all do with a good storm to clear the air, can't we? So have a good Sunday, take it easy, and until the next time, Roger Trout.